just reminded me, for whatever reason, I typically don't watch Ultimate Reloader, but I did see he built a 280 and was playing around with that, and he was using, this isn't to shit on him, but it's just a point that, goes against what I've been trying to teach you guys. Like, he was playing with his 280 and shooting a bunch of different bullet weights and using H1000. That powder is way too slow for a 280. There is nothing you can do to a 280 to get H1000 to completely burn. I mean, maybe if you put like a 32-inch barrel on it and use those really heavy bullets, it might all burn, but it's just, I was trying to stick to powders that would all burn and were appropriate burn rates and try to be efficient about it. And, that's kind of what this is about. It's just trying to do things efficiently and not get lost in the weeds too much on low development for big game hunting cartridges, because it's not that important. It's more important you guys get out and shoot. So, and learn how to read wind, and we've been in it. We've been over that. So, anyway. Hey guys, this is Tim with Little Crow Gunworks. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk 280. The 280 kind of got bumped to the back of the list just because we were working on the other guns, and then Dale decided he wanted to bring the 28 Nosler out on his elk hunt, so that kind of got prioritized and pushed to the front of the list, which is why that video ended up in front of this one. But because I ended up shooting that a little more and got that sorted out before this one. So, but now we're getting to the 280, and as usual, before I get started here, I want to thank everyone for your support through website sales and rifle builds and rebarrels and stuff. It's amazing the response we're getting from guys all over the country. So I want to thank you for that. That's been going really well. And then same with the channel, where we just broke 4,000 subscribers recently. We're over 4,100 already, but recently broke 4,000. I think it was with that Barnes 160 LRX video that pushed us over the 4,000 mark. So that was good to see. We're happy about that. Obviously, we'd like the channel to be a lot bigger, but these things take time. So that was really good. I think before we dive into how the 280 was shooting and the subsequent testing we did, there's a couple things I want to talk to you guys about. Kind of because now that we're getting this video out of the way, now it's time to chuck these things at long range, and then we'll be kind of concluding this portion of the 7mm Showdown project. We will still add to the series as we do more testing on different cartridges and come up with things that we want to add. But what we're going to be working on next, I don't want to give everything away completely, but just so you guys know, we're going to be doing some 6.5mm content. I know that's just as contentious of a bore diameter as 7mm, but there's guys interested in good information on that, so we're going to be doing some of that. And then stuff that I'm working on starting filming now, but isn't going to come out until sometime this winter, because we want to have, when it gets really, we're in Minnesota, so like usually if we have a normal winter, it starts to get down around 0 degrees toward the end of December, and it's usually negative whatever most of January and February, and then it'll start warming up a little bit at the end of February, but we can still get snow through like April. So a lot of times we have 4 or 5 months that you can't really do much, or if you do go out and try to shoot, it's not pleasant at all. And typically I don't perform best, and most people don't perform best as far as like how good a groups they can shoot when it's below 0. So trying to get some stuff recorded now so we have stuff to release throughout the winter. And then I'm also debating maybe doing some live streams or different things, just different ways to keep videos coming out throughout the winter. So I will take your guys' feedback on that. If you think there'd be enough interest in a live stream, I would entertain doing that. But the other thing we're going to be working on, the other project, is I know you guys watching this, some of you guys have said that you want more info on my hand loading process. So we're going to be releasing some content on that to show you guys more like the nitty gritty for you nerds that do hand load and want to know like the details of what I do. This series will be about that, where it's get into more of the nitty gritty of how I size brass and how I load stuff. And I did show you kind of my evaluation for powder and stuff with Gordon's reloading tool, so we'll be doing some more of that. And then once I start shooting, we have a gun that we're actually going to take you through that break-in process like I recommended, where you shoot it a little bit, sight it in, and then load up 100 rounds of whatever, go out, shoot it at long range, and break it in that way, and then start doing your testing after that, your load development after that, when the barrel's broke in. Excuse me. And then we'll show you the load development process, and I'll probably do powder and seating depth, and then test it at long range and show you how I evaluate that, and what I'll test at long range, and how I evaluate winners and losers. And basically the series is going to be about a couple things. One, my process, but two, how to get the most out of your hand loads without buying every piece of equipment known to man that you're being told you need, which in my opinion you don't. So it's going to be a little contentious, just like everything we do, but it's basically a bang for the buck reloading process. Like, how do you get the most out of your system without just throwing money and equipment at the problem until it shoots better, which usually doesn't work. So it'll give you guys a good foundation on how to evaluate things and how to bring the most out of your system without just buying a bunch of equipment. So I think that'll be of value to pretty much anybody watching it. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, I think we can dive into the 280 groups and testing and what we did with that and what we decided to stretch out further. I will say that because the 28 Nosler did what it did and chewed up a lot more resources than we anticipated, I ended up having to slightly abbreviate what I was going to test with the 280, just because, we don't have unlimited resources. We're a small company, and we're not sponsored, and whatever. So because we're footing the bill on almost all of this, we have to be mindful of that. So but I'll get into that as we go here. So I'll get my screen recording fired up. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Okay, so this was the first group that we shot initially. Remember, we did our 10-shot test with H4350. Only had the one sweet spot that looked like it was going to show promise. Loaded up 3 rounds of that, and this was the first group. So you guys have already seen this. So this was group number 1. Shot, the average velocity was 29.23. ST 2.5, ES is 6, shot a little over 1 MOA, 1.126, nothing special. But because the velocity metrics were so good, I thought, well, I'll give it, a couple more chances and see where it goes. So I took it out later, shot it again. It was a bit faster, and it was later in the summer, so it was warmer, and I'm guessing that's what the velocity disparity is. Maybe this is a good time to talk about that, so I don't want to derail too much, but you see, like, H4350 is known for its temperature stability, and there's powders like Hodgdon has their extreme line that's supposed to be temperature stable, and different powders, different companies will add stuff to their powder to try to make it temperature stable. None of them are completely temperature stable. That's not a thing. There's no powder on Earth that's completely temperature stable, no matter what they do to it. They all vary with temperature. It's to what degree. Now, H4350 is really good. Like, it doesn't vary a ton. Relative to other powders, it's one of the best, but they all vary. So just know that, don't think because you bought some temperature stable powder that it's not going to change, because it is. It's just, ball powders are typically the worst for temperature variability, and maybe I'll go into that in the precision hand loading series. I don't know what I'm going to call the series, but the one where I'm going to show you guys my nitty-gritty process. Maybe I'll go into that and create kind of a graph for you guys and show you how velocity will vary by temperature, because it's not linear. It's not like, you know, for every degree you're going to get this much velocity. It changes based on the temperature, and the long and the short of it is, the hotter it is outside, the faster it escalates. So, and the colder it is, the less it matters. That's basically the gist of it. But just know that they're all going to vary with temperature. It's to what degree. So that's why it's so important to have a good chronograph, and I'll probably go into that too in that reloading series. So second group, 2949, SD 8, ES is 16, shot a 939, so it shot a little bit better, but doing that 2 together 1 out stuff. And I don't know if it's because we found that, you know, this 2950 neighborhood was kind of where the pressure ceiling was, where we started to see a faint ejector mark, and that might be why it's doing the two together 1 out stuff. I'm not sure, but so that pair shot nice, was 323, but overall 939. Little, it's sub MOA, but not by much. Took it out. I saw that and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's starting to come around because the velocity went up. You know, maybe it's starting to tighten up. So I took it out and shot it again. Shot much worse, but again, did that 2 together 1 out stuff. Velocity was the same. Average velocity was the same, oddly enough. SD was different. The ES was the same. Weird. 2949, SD is 6.9, ES is 16. Shot a 1.583, which is like exactly 1.5 MOA. Pair was 353. I thought, well, I'll give it one more chance. Took it out, shot it again, more of the same. It's just, I think it might just be too hot. You know, where if I did a little more involved ladder test, which I'll show you guys again in that reloading series, we might have been able to find something else, but doing the 10-shot method, this was the only one that showed promise, but I think it's just too close to the ragged edge. Fourth group, 2962, SD 18, ES 30, just under 1 MOA, and the pair was 298. So it's like it wants to shoot, but it's just not happy with something. I wonder if I might be able to pull it together with a seating depth test, but again, because we chewed up so many resources on the 28 Nosler, and I was going to be able to show you guys a kind of a abbreviated seating depth test. We didn't want to spend the resources doing the same thing with this one. So, and then the other powder that we played around a little bit more with was N550. Remember, this was the first time we shot this sweet spot. There were, I think, 3 of them that we tested. This is the one that showed the most promise. It was kind of in the middle, not the slow one and not the high stepping near the pressure ceiling one. This one was kind of in the middle. 2901, so you've already seen this. 2901, SD 9.7, ES 23, 741. Wanting to shoot around that 2900 mark. But, you know, nothing special, 741. So I was like, I took it out later when it was warmer, shot it again. Blew apart. 2914, so a little faster. Other metrics are still good. SD 3.7, ES a 9, but blew apart to almost 2 inches. So I didn't pursue that any further because we had our N150 sweet spot. So this you already saw. This was the first time I took the sweet spot out and shot it. Remember, we had 4 of them that we tested. And again, because we're trying to limit the resources and that, we ended up only shooting this one again further. The other ones that I thought about playing around with more and stretching out at long range, we decided not to do that and just pursued this best one. So this you already saw, 2888. Remember, it only caught 2 shots and they were both 2888. Shot a 529. Really good. So then we took that out and shot it again. More of the same. 2899, what was the average back here? 2888. 11 feet a second higher. It was, again, warmer because we're getting into the summer. SD 3.9, ES a 9, shot a 578. Very good. What was the last one? 529. Around that half MOA mark. So then I was like, all right, we'll do one more. I think we got something promising here. Do one more verification. Took it out. More the same. 2903, SD 5.4, ES a 12, shot a 463. Really good. So that was because that was the best one, far and away. That was the one we ended up stretching out at long range, along with the Terminal Ascent factory ammo. So we had the two to compare to each other. And then we'll talk about the linear path on this. So this one, because we had a little more dinking around because we ended up having to test 4 powders just because N555 was such a dumpster fire right out of the gate. So we'll go through each of these. N555, we did our 10-shot ladder, tested the one sweet spot. Remember, it only had one, and it was right at the top, right at the pressure ceiling. That was a no-go. So we had our 10-shot test, 3 shots to test the first sweet spot, 13 shots, no-go. That'll happen. Sometimes you just, like I talked about with my 257 Weatherby, where Ramshot LRT came out. I'm like, well, it's probably an appropriate burn rate for a 257 Weatherby, being as overbore as it is. I'm gonna give it a shot. Took it out, loaded up what I thought was a middle of the road load, and actually tried a bunch of different charge weights, and it was like 2 to 6 inch groups, no matter what. You'll have that. Just sometimes certain powders don't work. H4350, 10-shot ladder, tested the one sweet spot, same thing. It had one sweet spot near the top, and verified. So we had our 10-shot test, 3 shots to test the sweet spot, and then we shot 3 verifications, 22 shots committed, consistent but inadequate for what we're trying to do. It's just shooting around 1-inch groups. That's going to be fine for a lot of people's applications, but if we're trying to find something that's adequate for 600 yards in the mountains, but I'm testing it on paper at 640 at basically sea level, which is like 740 in the mountains, I don't even need to stretch this out to know that it ain't going to go well. We're going to be shooting, 12 to 18 inch groups at 600 yards or 640 yards. So not worth screwing around. N550, 10-shot ladder, test 3 sweet spots, verify the best one. So we had our 10-shot test, 9 shots to test the 3 sweet spots, and then we picked the best one, shot 1 verification, it fell apart. Again, 22 shots, and the best sweet spot fell apart. So that was the end of that one. N150 we had to bring in because N555 was a dumpster fire. Had our 10-shot ladder, had 4 sweet spots that thought, looked like they'd show promise. Only one of them shot well. Decided to verify the best one, so that was 10-shot test, 12 shots for testing 4 sweet spots, and then shot 2 verifications. It's consistently pounding half MOA groups. You don't need to keep doing that forever to know that you have something viable. 28 shots for N150. So combined for the 4, we had 85 total shots fired to test 4 powders. Not thoroughly test, but just dabble in them and see what the 280 likes. And I'll lay this at my feet because I didn't have any experience hand loading with a 280, and I was kind of being stubborn. Confession time. I was kind of being stubborn on this cartridge because Dale has a ton of experience with the 280, and when I told him what I wanted to do, he's not pushy. He's pretty laid back, and he kind of looked at me over his glasses, and he's like, if you put H4831 shortcut in that thing, it's going to shoot. And I said, well, that may be, but with what I'm trying to teach you guys with Gordon's, like, there's almost nothing you can do with H4831 and a 280 and get it all to burn with a 160 grain bullet. It's not all burning. And I know that's not everything. That's not the be-all, end-all. Because if it shoots well and your velocity numbers are consistent and you're wasting a little bit of powder, a lot of guys are willing to make that sacrifice, obviously, because there's so many guys that load powders, and I know it's not all burning, but if it shoots well, whatever, if that's a sacrifice you're willing to make, then great. It just reminded me, for whatever reason, I typically don't watch Ultimate Reloader, but I did see he built a 280 and was playing around with that, and he was using, this isn't to shit on him, but it's just a point that, goes against what I've been trying to teach you guys. Like, he was playing with his 280 and shooting a bunch of different bullet weights and using H1000. That powder is way too slow for a 280. There is nothing you can do to a 280 to get H1000 to completely burn. I mean, maybe if you put like a 32-inch barrel on it and use those really heavy bullets, it might all burn, but it's just, I was trying to stick to powders that would all burn and were appropriate burn rates and try to be efficient about it. And that's kind of what this is about. It's just trying to do things efficiently and not get lost in the weeds too much on load development for big game hunting cartridges, because it's not that important. It's more important you guys get out and shoot, and learn how to read wind, and we've been over that. So anyway, 85 total shots fired to test 4 powders. Best load, we only captured 8 shots, because remember, the first time it missed one of them for whatever reason, and tested at different temperatures. So I think the ES could have been even better had I shot them all at the same time. But 2898 average, SD 7.1, ES a 19, average group 523, which works out to just under half MOA average. No sense screwing around with that anymore. No seeding depth muckery or nothing. Just find the right powder, I guess, and it'll shoot. So that's what we ended up stretching out. And again, the terminal set factory ammo. So now we're going to get into, next we'll be doing the 7 PRC video at long range, and then 7 Rem Mag, and then probably the 28 Nosler again, because again, I already have that data because I had to test it early to get it to Dale. And then the 280 will probably be last, and then after that I think we're going to do our summary where we show, okay, here's what we were able to wring out of each cartridge, and here's what you can then do with that. Here's the pluses and minuses of each cartridge, and kind of compare them all and get all the information in front of you so that you can make an informed decision. We said right at the beginning, we're not going to pick a winner, because we're not going to tell you what's the best one, because there isn't a best one for everybody. It depends on you and your needs and your circumstances on which one is best for you. So we're going to try to present all that information and get it all together so you can make an informed decision and make a choice and run with it. So that's all for this one. I don't have anything else that I could think of. So if you guys could give me some feedback on what I talked about in the beginning of the video, if you'd like to, if you have any interest in doing live streams this winter, or whatever you guys think would be a value to you, let me know. I think that's it. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.